Hi, welcome, welcome. Grandmas, am I right? Abuelas. Abuelita. So my grandmother was a santeras, which means that she practiced santeria, which means that she was a Puerto Rican witch. And I mean that in the most respectful way possible. For those of you who don't know, Santeria is what's known as a syncretic religion. It combines the Yoruba faith of West Africa with the indigenous folklore of the Boricua Indians of Puerto Rico. And then when the missionaries started their work, it became fused with Catholicism. So as a result, my grandmother was a devout Catholic who went to Mass every single day of her life. She also cast spells, removed curses, prepared baths that would cleanse your soul, talk to the dead, and see your future. She also made the best pancakes I've ever had. Now, I have always been the family skeptic. In fact, I never truly believed anything my grandmother did was real, but there were many things that she did that no one could really explain. For instance, there was this one time she used a mixed powder spell to get a junior congressman acquitted from embezzlement charges. Yeah, I don't know. There was this other time that she didn't like her upstairs neighbor, and apparently this woman got very loud and very belligerent. Anyone ever asked her to keep it down, so using an oil and incense spell, she got her to move to another state entirely. I don't know. And then there was a time she used her magic on me. The one thing you need to know about me is that I have had asthma my entire life. And when I was a child, this is actually a very, very big deal. This is before rescue inhalers were common. So the normal protocol whenever little Nelson was about to, be rumored to have an attack, was to rush him to the emergency room as quickly as possible because I could die. Well, this one time I was staying with my grandmother. I must have been about 10 years old when I had a very sudden and very severe asthma attack. And instead of taking me to the emergency room, my grandmother bucked protocol entirely, grabbed me by the hand, and dragged me to the one room in her giant Bronx apartment I was never allowed to go into before, her saint's room. And I'm gasping for breath at this point, and the door opens, and I am just hit with a cacophony of information. It's a long, narrow room with a single window on the other side, and on either side is just rows and rows of tables and shelves, all filled with something sacred. And there's rocks and crystals and beaded necklaces. There's an ashtray with a half-smoked cigar in it. There's crosses everywhere. There's pictures of Jesus everywhere. There's a large bust of a Native American man with a real feather headdress. Over here in the corner, there's about a dozen plastic Smurf figurines for some odd reason or another. And then over there's a large toy horse that went missing from my Lone Ranger action figure 6 months prior. And there's a rainbow of lit candles throughout the room, and the air is heavy with the smell of wax and perfumed alcohol. And my lungs are really hurting right now, and I'm starting to get kind of scared. And she hands me these flowers to hand to this 4-foot handmade doll called Mama. And Mama is wearing a turban and a lab coat, and I'm supposed to kiss this doll on both cheeks. And then she sits me down on the floor and puts this large white bowl right by my feet, and she begins chanting and praying this ancient whispered secret language that has a whole lot of S's in it, like and then she starts grabbing silk handkerchiefs in one hand and bottles and powders and oils in the other, and starts dousing the silk scarves, and she starts rubbing my chest, and all the while she's chanting this secret prayer. And then I am freaking the fuck out right now. I am so scared, and it feels like there's an elephant just sitting on my chest, and all of my breaths are coming in short staccato gasps, and I can barely get any air out, and I can barely push anything in. And all of a sudden there's now a live chicken in the room, and my grandmother is now holding a very large knife, and she lifts up the chicken, and she lifts up the knife, and then she just slits this chicken's throat, and there's blood just pouring out of this tiny little chicken, and the chicken even made a sound. And then I could breathe. And I have no idea how she did that. Now, the adult skeptic says that the ritual combined with the sensory overload created what's known as a placebo effect. My body rushed with adrenaline, and that allowed my lungs to function. It's also entirely possible that I was just too fucking terrified to have an asthma attack at that point. However, little Nelson, the scared little boy who couldn't breathe, he believes it could have been magic. And I suppose that begs the question, well, does it matter? I don't know, honestly. I'm just very grateful to be alive. My grandmother passed away many years ago now, and I think about her a lot still. When most people think about magic, they think about wands and rabbits and Harry Potter movies. When I think about magic, I think about a 4'11", soft-spoken Puerto Rican witch whose pancakes I miss very much. Thank you very much.